wah, wah.
We're back with episode 34
Of You're Ridiculous.
Too long. We've been away too long. I was visiting Wolf in California.
That's right.
Inside their home.
Invaded
where they make their nest. And I was there away for a week, and then we needed 1 week of time off for new plannings and recuperating from that week.
Recovering.
Oh yeah, so we are back. The long-awaited return. But it's not just our return.
That's right.
It's also Rain's return!
Hello, motherfuckers!
Woo!
Rain is back, has joined us for our everybody's return
Finally.
episode for You're Ridiculous. We're very excited. As I just said, I was in California visiting Wolf. We were doing all that, and Wolf, you almost killed a kid.
I did indeed.
Whoa.
You know, it happens.
I think you're in the wrong on this one.
Well, so we were at Universal. And at Universal, they've got this massive just chunk of elevators going up and down.
Huge.
Like
It's
miles
massive.
of elevator.
You couldn't even see the top if you're at the bottom.
And as we got to the last one, the final level to get back to the top, I step off of it, and then I'm coming up out of the corner of my eye. I see what I thought, or what I perceived as like one of those like safety poles, like the pipes they usually put up to stop cars from like driving on the sidewalks.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was
like
that.
steel pipe.
Yeah, so I smashed my hand on it. I was gonna like lean on it and slide across.
Yeah.
But as I look back in the corner of my eye at the last second, and I've got, because it felt wrong, because I've got my hand on some kid's just face.
No!
And I'm like, oh shit, I'm like trying to course correct and not put my full weight on this whole ass child. Almost took.
Push the kid.
I did. I like I just gripping his entire face, and I just whip around. And I'm like, "Oh no, I'm so sorry." And I'm looking around for a parent to apologize to, and his parents are nowhere to be seen.
Fistful of head, and this kid he's like 5, just walking around parentless.
He was just in shock. He didn't even make any noise.
Oh,
I just whipped around and instead walked away.
I have another story actually that's really funny. So this was also leaving Universal, and one of the friends we were with, Lauren, you may remember her from accidentally winning What the Fuck Do You Know all those
Tragic.
years ago, stealing the victory from Wolf. She starts like touching random sources of like public water.
Oh my god.
Like water fountains or like drinking fountains and water fountains and stuff like that. And she wants to touch the big one like outside that it's like with the main Universal sign, and it has like spouting ball. Yeah, the ball and spouting water and everything like that. And she runs over to it, and Wolf's like, "You better not touch that. You're gonna get chlamydia."
Hepatitis.
And she shouts it. Wolf shouts it, and this lady walking next to us just bursts into laughter and just continues walking on. Doesn't even say anything.
Covers her mouth and everything.
Oh yeah, it was a whole thing. And then Lauren comes back and is like, "What are you guys laughing at?" It's like, you had to be there. And now you get to all be there with us.
That's right.
Yeah. But welcome back, everybody, to episode 34 of You're Ridiculous. My name is Luke, and with me, as always, just as I said, I have Wolf and Rain as well.
Woo-hoo.
Back from the jungles of Panama.
Yep.
Yeah.
Long trip this time.
Oh yeah, quite a while. Not last week, but the previous episode 33, 2 weeks ago, I guess at this point, we talked about Hell of a Boss recap.
We sure did.
Yeah, it was great. Liked it, enjoyed it. Excited for season 2.
Yep, coming out this month.
I know, it's really exciting. And there's more details about the other one too.
The other one. Oh yeah, Hasbin Hotel.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the name. Has Been Hotel. A lot of stuff on that about Twitter too. That's exciting. Sure, we'll do more episodes about those two if you like that.
Of course.
The main topic this week, we're going to be talking about Supermassive Game's new release, The Quarry, and it was published by 2K Games.
Yeah.
If time permitting, which we're all doubtful of.
Yeah.
We'll also have another ridiculous rant because those seem to be popping up more and more.
I'm enraged.
Once you get us going, you just can't stop. And obviously, wrapping up the episode, like always, is a question of the week from Rain, who can actually read it this time.
Yeah, I wanted to make up her voice. It's been so long, I don't even know how to do it anymore.
Well, you didn't know how to do it before, so... Alright, Wolf, why don't you tell us a little bit more about what the Quarry is?
Alright, the Quarry is a sort of cheesy horror game, decision-driven game, made by the same people who made Until Dawn all those years ago.
Hell yeah.
It's set at a summer camp at the pretty much end of the season. All the kids have gone home. And the camp counselors, because one is simping on Maine and can't get over himself, he decides to trap everyone there as an attempt to somehow seduce the girl he's fallen for, who is not interested
the one
in
that
something
dumped
long-term.
him.
Yeah, that one that dumped him. It wasn't even like dumped. They were like, okay, so here's the agreement. We're gonna fuck this summer and then go our separate ways. I guess
it's a summertime fling.
And so, in his act of simpery, he gets everyone trapped in the middle of the woods, and
he breaks the car.
Yeah, you can either choose to cut the gas line, or you can steal the rotor. And of course, mayhem ensues, because there are not supposed to be people around at the summer camp after the season is over. Because there's bears in the woods, apparently.
Bears, quote unquote.
Fucking bears. The worst part about that recurring quote unquote joke is that no one ever acknowledges how stupid it is. Bears.
It's really dumb. They obviously know it's not bears as well, because they're like, it always ends in a question. You think it's bears? It's like, it's clearly not fucking bears, you doorknobs.
And I can maybe accept the recurring bears if they didn't immediately blow their load and show us the monster.
Oh yeah, literally, chapter 2 they show it. Not even hint at it.
Call it a wolf. Call it anything. A deer. Anything. It's not literally, a bear.
It would have to be like a hairless anorexic bear. God. And that would be still stretching. It's still more of a wolf than anything. And why? Because it's a fucking werewolf.
Yeah.
Dun dun dun.
Never saw it coming. From Wendigos to werewolves.
I know, the true transition.
I was thinking they were going to do Wendigos again as I was watching it.
I probably would have been more interested.
Their face is definitely built like one. The way their teeth were like.
It was.
Damn near the same model. They're not even furry.
It was slightly canine-esque Wendigo.
They're like, we don't even want to develop the texture. Let's just put the skin on it and just make them gleam.
In the lore of the world, there's people have spotted these things, and oh yeah, weird big giant wolf, and they don't look like wolves whatsoever.
Not even close. They're big and gangly. How the fuck is that a bear?
They caught one, and I thought I was looking at a vampire because it was all folded up.
Oh yeah.
Or a giant bat.
Yeah, and so the full story or more of the story, is that several years ago, this circus comes to town. There's Silas the wolf boy, who is trapped in a cage because, he's a fucking werewolf.
Yeah.
Every full moon, he's cursed and becomes a werewolf, and his mother wants to keep him trapped in the cage. She's the circus ringleader lady.
Yeah.
And the people in town, these two kids, want to help Silas. They decide to set him free by starting a small fire, which ends up burning the entire circus down.
Yeah.
Who could have thought that? That classic circus fire trope.
Playing with fire.
Definitely didn't see that coming. Silas ends up biting Caleb, one of the kids that helped. Caleb ends up becoming a werewolf, bites his sister, bites his dad. Dad bites all these other people because nobody knows how to deal with werewolfism.
Yeah.
And then it kind of spirals out of that. That's when the camp counselors come in. That's where the wolf's car breakdown happens. Everybody's there after dark. They're trying to fix it.
Dumb bitch Laura gets everyone killed because she can't follow basic directions.
Yeah.
Yeah, cold. And he spoke back to me and said it was okay. You get there, she's like, oh yeah, I left a message.
Yeah, didn't call.
And he never called back.
And it was the full moon night, so it's he's a werewolf, so he's in the basement. and they think they see somebody in the basement, some freak in the basement.
Laura sees some freak in the basement. She like calls out for help. Like, do you need help? And she doesn't get a response. There's no noise. She's like, they must need help. I gotta break in.
They must need help. They must need my help too. Some random like 18-year-old bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then obviously that's when the whole thing happens. Everybody goes on a fucking rampage. Everybody tries to become the hero, save themselves, save from the werewolf, all that good stuff. What did we think?
Pretty good. Mm-hmm. Very, very beautiful, of course.
Oh, of course.
A lot of the death scenes, brutal. Like, they were really good. And brutal.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you looked up, if you watched or played through it and didn't see where the death scenes of where everybody could die, or like all the possible death scenes, definitely go back and watch those. They're all on YouTube already, and they're quite something to behold. They're pretty rough. So, well, in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're cool to watch. But yeah, if Supermassive Games can do anything right, it's make a stunning motion capture game.
Yeah.
Which nobody can fault them at that, because they are excellent at doing that. And motion capture is not easy to make look good in the first place. It's pretty hard to make it not look horribly stupid.
Uncanny.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they all look like freaks. But there's definitely a couple like times where they look like, oh, that's not looking right. But for the most part, the motion capture is really good. And disregarding the motion capture, the rest of the game, like the environment is gorgeous. It looks really, really good.
Mm.
And that was the same with Until Dawn as well. And even now, Until Dawn is about 6 years old at this point, and that game still holds up. It looks really, really good still. So definitely like A+ for both of those games on just looks alone.
Now, the story on the other hand, Until Dawn, great. This one, not as great.
Yeah,
I
definitely agree.
Watching it's very funny. The jokes and such are very well written. Had me crack
funnier
up.
Than Until Dawn.
Yeah. But the horror aspect, pretty light, and then as you get into the late game, it really starts to fall apart.
Yeah.
Characters, if you succeed in keeping them alive, they kind of hit a point where they were supposed to have died, but they didn't because you did good, but now there's nothing for them to do. Like, I forget her name, the like influencer bitchy one. You literally finish her section, and then she goes and hides in the car for the rest of the game.
Literally.
Oh, yeah. I don't even remember her name. It also seemed like Brenda Song's character, Caitlin, was supposed to die.
Yeah, she didn't do a whole lot.
For a while, like after the fire... Yeah, after like the fire scene and like Truth or Dare, she didn't really do that much.
Yeah, you'd think she would, because she's canonically really good with a gun.
Yeah, and she's like the only level-headed character there.
Yeah.
She would be like the main character in like a horror movie. The only one that like knows that like knows she's in a horror movie.
Yeah.
It'd be like a Scream movie or something that she knows.
And then Nick, I think, the one who got turned into a werewolf, he explodes, turns into a werewolf, and he's never heard from again.
Disappears.
Yeah, he just literally just fucked off the whole time.
I thought he'd at least like make an appearance and attack someone.
Nope. Not that I didn't see him in any of the like alternate like death scenes or anything like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it was him and I just wasn't sure, but I don't think I saw him.
I think they would have called it out at least. It was dark enough, and the way they're designed, it's hard to tell who's who.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. So, but I think they would have like tried to make a point.
Like, because Kaylee looks like Chris, looks like Caleb.
Right. Yeah, I guess I didn't have anything to I was gonna say something, but you kind of said that anyways. So yeah, he just fucks off, and we see him at the end after. Well, if you heal everybody,
yeah, he's up in a tree vibing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, my main issue with this whole game, or not really the game, but just the story progression was. We kind of hinted at it. They just blew their load on everything so early. The pacing of the game was like so off and forced to me.
Yeah.
In Until Dawn, if you've played that one, which if you haven't, definitely go check it out, recommend, or watch a playthrough, because it's really fantastic. in Until Dawn, they kind of introduce a lot of different plot points and subjects like really early on. They have like fire like guy who lives in the mines, and then they have the mines themselves. They have slasher massacre guy who's like in the house, who ends up being one of the characters. Spoiler alert, obviously. And then they have like the asylum and the Wendigos, and those are all kind of like playing at the same part. And in this one, they tried to do that with like the ghost plus the harem scarum circus, and then they have like the monsters themselves. But they just didn't pace it well enough, and they didn't like hint at you that, you know, this could be a monster, this could be a ghost, this could be something from the circus, from harem scarum circus. They just immediately showed you that it was like werewolves.
Yeah, and the ghost ended up being quite irrelevant.
Yeah.
The ghost was completely irrelevant the whole time. It helped you through the... I guess it potentially helped you through the transition scenes from the chapters, but it was mostly irrelevant. Like, the mom didn't play any sort of relevancy in the story.
It seemed like they really wanted to go for like a moral type of dilemma type thing. Like, she clearly wants revenge on the Hatchets for putting this series of events into motion. But at the same time, they didn't do anything wrong, really. She's fucking around with a circus. She keeps her kid in a cage and shows him off. The whole time she's like begging you to like save Silas and help him and spare him and such. But like, that's the thing. As things are playing out, you have no choice but to kill Silas.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's two forced deaths as far as I'm aware. There's Kaylee, who you have no control over. You just end up shooting her. Well, you don't, but Laura does. And then Silas is a forced death to save everybody. And he'll die no matter what, I believe.
And I believe Chris is a required death.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. I wasn't sure about... Oh, yeah, I guess to save the other people, he would have to be.
Pretty much.
He would, at least to save Max. But yeah, that's fair. But most of the other people you can pretty much save if you are playing correctly.
Yeah. You figure it out. Suss it out.
Yeah, and like you said, the Hacketts are kind of are on a moral high ground from the very beginning. It's not like they wanted or knew what was going to happen if they saved Silas. They were just like, there's a human in a fucking cage and her mom is showing him off. It's like, okay, we want to be good and we want to help. The two kids want to help Silas. It's like, okay,
that seems pretty objectively wrong.
Yeah, and then the woman just like, yeah, you got to get revenge on these assholes. For what? Blowing up your circus?
Yeah.
They had someone die in there too. One of the other cop died.
The original sheriff.
Yeah. Yeah, and the circus itself also mostly irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like, the circus part of it didn't matter. It was just that this one kid was a werewolf.
Mm-hmm. There were no other, like, supernatural creatures.
Yeah. There was nothing. So, again, I just felt like a lot of it didn't really matter. And the pacing was just bad, I thought. They showed the first werewolf in, like, chapter 2. And in Until Dawn, you don't see, like, the full Wendigo shot until, like, chapter 5, maybe even 6.
Yeah.
Then you see it a lot more. They hint at it a lot. Like, they hint that it's, like, there's this Chainsaw Massacre guy. He's the one doing it. It's actually this flamethrower guy that lives in the woods. And then it's like, okay, but it's definitely not just these two, when I've seen this, like, fucking monster between some floorboards, or the monster that
ripped to shreds,
ripped through the window. Like, that was the first really kind of big one. Yeah, that's like the first one where you really
snatches her.
Really see that it's like, okay, there's definitely something more than just some dudes in like masks and shit. This bitch just got ripped through a window after proclaiming that she's gonna fuck this other guy.
Yeah. Yep. And then when they do the big reveal with the Wendigos, then they all show up and there's like a big event with them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Yeah, and that was really exciting. And like to add on that, the whole game, like Until Dawn, it's not like actually scary, but there's like a lot of tense and spooky moments. Like, if you don't deal well with horror or like jump scares or anything like that, you're gonna like you're gonna shit your pants.
Yeah.
You're gonna flinch and get someone killed.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing. I'll come back to that. But in the Quarry, there just wasn't like, there was a couple jump scares, but nothing really like that bad.
Yeah,
it was pretty mild, like you said.
Yeah.
And circling back to your point, Wolf, they like lost all the good things from Until Dawn.
Yeah.
The QTEs, QuickTime events, were terrible in this.
They're very easy.
You have so much time from when they start and when they actually get moving. Or when they show you that it's going to be a QTE, and then when they start moving.
Yeah, they like cut to the second angle, and then the QTE shows up. Yeah.
Because it wasn't on... it wasn't a PC exclusive. It was on Xbox this time as well. They couldn't do the like hold still things with the PlayStation controller, because that has really good motion sensors in it, and I'm not sure if Xbox does, but if they do, they don't implement the technology into their games. So they couldn't do the like hold your controller still to simulate not breathing and not moving, so the monsters can't like see you or whatever. They never did that, so it was just like hold a button down to not breathe.
And I feel like they could have saved that mechanic if there wasn't... So when you do the way they do it, you hold the button until almost the very end and then let go and you're good. I feel like they should have had like multiple moments in which you could have let go of the button. Instead of just, as you're about to run out of breath, take your breath, you're good to go.
Yeah. Like, it shouldn't have shown you how long you have, like, on the bar. Because then at that point, you're just holding the button, you're looking at the bar, you're just waiting for the bar. And you're like, I don't see that anymore. We're good.
Either I suffocate or I don't.
Yeah. The prompt was not even accurate to what the game thing is. It says, hold the button until you think you're safe.
Yeah.
And really, it's just like hold it until you see the bars on the side where your breath meter is.
Yeah.
Literally.
And then after that, you're safe. Convenient that I'm safe after I can no longer hold my breath.
And then there was the other mechanic of mashing X, which is where I've got my biggest gripe. So they introduced this mechanic where sometimes you'll get an event and you need to mash X as fast as you can to win. And then the way it's set up is every time that happens, it's either if you do not successfully smash X enough, something bad happens. But then you get to the scene where Laura is like fighting with the grandmother over the shotgun. And
I was going to bring this up.
Win the thing, as you're supposed to do, you blow the mother's brains out.
Literally blow her entire face off.
And there is, and then from there, you are pretty much convinced that the implications that if I mess up this QTE, then Laura gets her brains blown out. But that's not what happens. It is in fact that version of that QTE where you want to lose it. Because it's the only way to not fuck things up further. Which is bullshit.
Yeah, they betray the sort of like trust that they built up with the player by like rewarding you for mashing X really quickly, by punishing you and killing this character that sure you may have wanted to kill anyways, but this wasn't a choice. Like a lot of the times when you kill a character or get a character killed, it's fairly obvious, at least in this game, that's going to happen. You either have the active choice to do it because you have a gun, or there's a fairly obvious option that's like, oh yeah, go check out the noise in the ceiling.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well that's probably going to get that bitch killed. Yeah. So, like, a lot of the choices were fairly obvious. This one, like Wolf was saying, it's just like, it's a complete 180 from like what you've been trained to do throughout the whole game.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought it up, because I was also going to say something.
And it doesn't even give you a choice to save the life. Because I know you get 3 chances to be able to make a new decision.
Yeah.
For that one, it's like, she's dead. And you're like, oh, you know what? No, that one's staying in, motherfucker. Like,
yeah.
I also hate that, by the way. That's so dumb. Like, a character gets killed, like Rain said, you have the option to use one of your lives. Why is that an option?
Yeah.
The whole point...
Go ahead.
I
felt like there was another thematic thing they were going to add, like, because you're like, as if you were like watching this back. There was another game that kind of did it. I can't quite remember what it was, but you have like the omnipotence to like figure out what chain of events happened, which means you also have the ability.
It was
to
like Life is Strange, right? You could go back in time.
Maybe that.
Yeah.
And that's not what they did.
You
just had these 3 lives for some reason.
Yeah, I think in Life is Strange you could like check out all the options, but like go back like 30 seconds or whatever, and like choose a different course or whatever.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was. But I agree. And the whole point of like Until Dawn was, and I know they're separate games, but they're from the same studio, and they're clearly a sequel basically to one another.
Yeah.
And so the whole point of Until Dawn was that, the butterfly effect, your actions mattered. And so why is it now that my actions don't really matter that much in this one? Because 1, the options are pretty clear about what's going to happen, and 2, if I can just, even if I didn't catch the mistake of what's going to happen, I could just revert it. I have 3 lives. Like, yeah. That really annoyed me.
Yeah. Should be lives. It really takes you out of it.
Something that I wish...
I'll tell you what takes me out of it.
Go ahead.
Was the... Oh, go ahead, Rain. Go ahead.
I was going to say, something that I wish that they did was during dialogue scenes where you get to choose, like, what response that your character has to certain things. I wish they had put a time on making that choice right or left. Because I feel like a lot of instances, you can just sit there for as long as you want and, like, really think about which one you want to say, if you want to go with the left answer or the right answer, and you can think about it, walk yourself through it, but there's no like stress or attention on making that decision, and it takes out the whole part of the horror game butterfly effect, which was having to make quick decisions and then deal with the consequences afterwards. So I feel like they should have put that timing into dialogue as well.
Yeah, they like slowed down the QuickTime events and then just took away the timer for making choices altogether.
That's probably the most critical part.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was one of the most fun parts too. You have a limited amount of time to do these things. Like your choices actually matter. You got to think quickly.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what really took me out is when they did these fucking animated tutorials. They put you in this like pretty dark, moody, intense game, and then every once in a while they introduce a new mechanic, and they take you out of the game for a second and show you this fucking like cartoon animated tutorial that's like something out of Looney Tunes or something. And I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? Just put the text up on, pause the game, put the text up on what this mechanic is, like just like Until Dawn did, and let's get a move on. Don't show me like a 2-minute shit ass trailer that completely takes me out of this. It's
and
like,
there's like 5 of
this?
these, and maybe only one of them is necessary.
Oh yeah.
And I don't even think you can skip them.
No.
You can.
And that's like, and even if you could, I still am taken out of the game to skip them and watch them from the start.
Like, I think the first one is like, guess what? You can make decisions. Guess what? Your decisions have consequences.
Literally.
But they don't.
Guess what? There's danger out there. Watch out.
Yeah. It's just like, and they're just like on and on. It's like a 2-minute video.
Oh, you know the one that pissed me off the most? It was like, there was one that was specifically called out, like, sometimes the danger isn't actually the real danger. But in the game, we the players know that the danger that we're currently facing is not the real danger, but you are punished for trying to like not run away from the family.
Yeah.
So it seems that danger was the real danger. You didn't subvert anything.
So we're going on a lot of tangents because we have a lot to say about this. That like just nitpicking things. Another thing is, it is abundantly clear that the family, the family that we see, not the Hackett's, but the other family that gets introduced like a third of the way through, is clearly not a threat. Like they're clearly not like aggressive towards the people. They're not trying to attack them. They're not trying to do anything. And old. These stupid ass campers or camp counselors are like, they're gonna kill me. I'm gonna die. They're gonna shoot me.
Literally.
And one time, and what was the idiot simp's name?
I don't remember.
He gets like saved.
You're talking about Nick?
Jacob.
Oh, Jacob. Yeah.
No, Jacob. The guy.
Jacob. Yeah. Jacob, it's like, gets saved by Bobby, the big guy, gets covered in blood, and it's like, this guy just fucking attacked me. It's like, all he did was save you. He just didn't talk to you.
Your dumbass walked into a trap and he freed you.
Yeah, he saved you out of the damn trap that was set for one of the werewolves. And then, albeit the covering you in blood is a little weird, but I feel like you should be able to surmise what's happening.
Yeah, he didn't
if you
harm
just stopped and used your brain. And none of the other family, at any point until you attack them, do anything to you.
Yeah.
It was so weird. It's like, in Until Dawn, again, comparisons, because I think it's a fair comparison, but the guys that we're not quite sure about, the flamethrower mask guy that lives in the mines, and the clown murder guy,
yeah,
they're like pretty sus from the start. There's a lot of mystery surrounding them. They really don't interact with the main characters, and so the confusion that the characters have towards them is incredibly genuine and justified. And it just wasn't the case for this. It's like, there's no reason for the campers to be really scared or worried about them at all when they didn't even really do anything to them.
Yeah, and I think...
in any way present any harm to them.
And I think the reason the flamethrower guy even comes off as a threat in the first place, because they don't know if the flamethrower guy is working with the mask guy, and the mask guy has proven himself to be a threat.
Yeah. And then there's like one scene early on where Jessica, the one that gets dragged through the window, she gets taken down to the mines by the actual creature. Mike, the buff hero guy, sees the guy in the mines, and so that's a logical conclusion. Yeah. It's like, oh, this guy must be the one that attacked Jessica.
Got some good.
Obviously, yeah, obviously ended up being wrong. Yeah. And they wanted to help, and the mask guy was obviously a problem from the start, but in a different way.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, I felt like there was a lot of similarities from the Quarry to Until Dawn, but almost all of them were like negatively compared. Yeah. I just felt like a lot of the success and what went well in Until Dawn was not transitioned over to the Quarry.
Indeed. And then the worst part of all of it, the fucking podcast ending.
Oh, no.
Who thought of that? And
whoever did this needs to like get a pay cut or fired altogether, because this is awful.
Talking to.
Yeah, this was so bad.
Yeah, that was not it.
Why don't you run through what that was?
It was bad enough to like completely change the vibe into doing this podcast thing. But if you're gonna do the podcast thing, at least give me info. The bitch was just rambling about nothing for like 20 minutes. And the idea that this is a popular podcast that Ryan listened to all summer, I would blow my brains out if that was all I had to listen to for an entire summer.
All of it, like even like disregarding the in-game part of it was annoying to listen to and all that stuff and kind of cringy. It just wasn't relevant information for us, the player.
I don't
like
know.
It was all stuff we had known already. We figured out by playing the game.
The only good part was, the only useful part is when the newspaper changes.
Yeah.
Which
right. But like most of the things she's saying was like all our shit. And the anonymous backer or donor or whatever the hell she called it was Nick, right?
Yeah.
And so, no, not Nick, the guy who listened to it.
Ryan. Yeah,
Ryan. And so we played as him. We know what happened. We know more than what was told on the podcast.
Yeah.
So what is the point of the podcast?
She doesn't even cover the info. Hardly.
Yeah, it's just like, and we got this newspaper clipping, and we got this piece of cloth that was maybe there.
Yeah.
All this other bullshit. I really enjoyed how Until Dawn ended their thing with the police interviews of the surviving teenagers or whatever.
Yeah.
And you get more information. Most of it is not like that new to us because again, we were the players, we were the player characters of those teenagers, but it was presented in a really awesome way because they told the story from their character personality.
Yeah,
it wasn't making choices that we made for them.
And we actually get to see the aftermath. Like the depending how you tell the story, they send like troops out to the mine to go clear it out, or they don't at all.
Right. Well, that's the best outcome is when they send it, because then they get to see the brother as a Wendigo.
Turned.
Dumbass. Caused in all the problems. Just wanted revenge. And so I really like that, and I'm so surprised that it didn't result in that ending again, because it easily could have. A bunch of people are likely dead, at least 3.
Yeah.
And so the police would obviously want to question them. So why didn't we just see this again? We would get to see the story told by all the surviving members and like what's happening. You know, a lot of them would still be in shock, saying you wouldn't believe us. I just don't get why we got this shit ass podcast ending.
Indeed. Also, logically speaking, the way there's only 2 options. Either all the teens get arrested or all the teens get acquitted. But there's a lot of situations where, like, firstly, the cop basically kidnapped Laura and her boyfriend, so that's one thing. And then
unlawfully kidnapping.
Indeed. And then the rest of it, I think there's enough evidence, even without all the werewolf bullshit, that the family was killed in self-defense. No matter what. They sure weren't killed in cold blood. Oh, except for the mother, which was an accident.
The mother brought that on herself. Messing around with live firearms.
Wrestling with a gun.
Just a fucking shotgun. This surely won't end badly for me.
You're holding the barrel end of a gun. Let me put it up to my mouth real quick. Make it easier for you.
Give me this gun! Oh, shame the viewers couldn't see that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, go!
Deep throating that hydro flask.
The viewers needed to know. I got a good screenshot of that and put it on the YouTube.
I love it. And then I as I was watching other playthroughs of it, the evidence mechanic didn't seem well implemented either. I think if they're gonna do the evidence thing, one, you have to go in and click all the evidence. Like, even if you find it, it doesn't count if you don't go in and, like, click the dots and connect the dots. Which is bullshit, firstly.
You have to, like, register it as evidence.
Yeah, secondly, that should be something that, like, is prompted during those, like, intermission scenes. And so you're not like, oh, let me do all these quick times and save all these people, make all these decisions. Wait, gotta pause the story, check off all my evidence. All right, back to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like that at all. I thought it was a cool idea. Like the counselors know it's like, okay, like come morning, whoever's alive is gonna get in serious fucking trouble for this.
Yeah.
Like clearly it's gonna look bad on our end. Let's gather some evidence. Like, oh, that's pretty smart. That's a good idea. Let's do that. And then it just like never gets brought up again and doesn't like remind you. It's like, hey, don't forget to collect evidence.
Yeah.
And once you pick up those things, it should immediately be registered as evidence.
Yeah.
And I don't know why you had to like manually do it. That makes no sense.
Yeah.
It should have just auto like registered as evidence like as soon as you find it, because you're not even 100% guaranteed to find it all.
Yeah.
You could easily just blow past all of it if you're not looking for it. And so why, if I had found it all and not registered any of it, it's like I had found none of it. So I don't get that. That really bothered me just from like a game design perspective. Like it's another aspect of like punishing your players, which is something they've already done with that one QuickTime event. And I don't get why you'd want to instill these mechanics and like this reward based system when you're kind of going back on it at the end.
It kind of felt like someone on the writers team was very much on Silas's mom's side, and they were so convinced that she was in the right, they forgot to give like a reason for her to be in the right.
Literally.
Which, yeah, there definitely wasn't a reason.
Like, okay, so they accidentally burned down your circus that was very morally black in the first place. And they tried to free your son.
As most circuses are.
Yeah. And now she's dead. So now what? And Solace lives a pretty miserable life. He's a feral child. So even if they did, even if his werewolfness could magically be recovered, there's no life for him at all.
Yeah, he's just like living in the woods, like running.
Yeah.
Because there's people hunting him because, you know, his mom basically like indirectly caused a lot of problems by trapping him.
Yeah.
So, and then she gets herself blown up. Like, walks right into the flames.
Mama's coming, and then just fucking darts right in.
Mama's coming. I don't think Mama's going anywhere.
Nope.
I think Mama's going to the morgue. Rain, what was your least favorite part? Because we've kind of talked a lot. Do you have anything? We'll get to the best parts. We'll wrap it up with some happy endings.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
If there are any.
My least favorite was the very end. I feel like there was hours and hours of all of this buildup and all of this work and planning and running around and all of this bullshit. And then you get to the very end and Laura's like, do I shoot him or do I not shoot him? And that's it. Like, that's the only, like, decision that you're left with. And I feel like that ending was just anticlimactic. It was like, what was the fucking point if you're just gonna walk right up to him and shoot Silas and then that's it? Like, I expected some kind of fight. Like, being in the car and hitting Silas is definitely different than being in the woods one-on-one. Pretty fucking vulnerable. You know, I just expected more out of that scene.
Yeah, and that car hitting him really took him out for some reason. Because he just lays there.
Yeah.
And yeah, the car didn't even hit him. He launched on top of the car, and I guess the car crashed and threw him off of it.
Yeah. Also, the family's been searching for him for 6 years. They'd said that they've been looking for Wolf Boy. You're telling me that the Hacketts never once found his little cocoon shelter and thought,
right.
You know, maybe he's around.
It wasn't that far.
Yeah, apparently he had been going up and down the coast, like in different areas, but from what I remember, always came back to that little nest at the full moon.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I feel like within a couple months, they probably could have found that nest.
Right.
We're looking very
like
hard.
Even on a non-full moon night, right? Like clearly nobody had the bright idea to go back to where his family was last alive, to where his mother was last alive.
Where
like,
his bed is.
Some police work these guys had. Yeah, definitely weird. And I agree with you, Rain, about I feel like from the start, they kind of shot themselves in the foot with having basically two options to end the game. You know, save everybody or save nobody, and that's not that interesting.
Yeah. Now, I think that could have been slightly resolved if Silas hadn't been the one to turn Nick. Because even if you don't give a shit about the Hacketts, Nick is completely fucked over if you don't kill Silas. And he's just some innocent guy who had nothing to do with this bullshit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I was trying to remember which one Nick was, but yeah.
The one with the accent.
Yeah. The Australian guy. So, now that we've kind of harped on this game a bit, what did, besides like it looking good, what was everybody's favorite part or feature or something that they really enjoyed about the game? Wolf, why don't you start?
A lot of the death scenes are really good. Like when Wendy Wu and the person that's with her get killed by, I believe it's Taylor.
Wendy Wu.
Homecoming warrior.
Yeah, one and only.
It's just so out of nowhere. It's so brutal for no reason. He picks her up by the head, slams her into the wall, and then just fucking throws her. Like, why are they so angry? He didn't even eat her. He just beat her ass. And then same with if Silas successfully crashes the car, he just crushes the cop dude's head, tears Laura apart, rips Ryan out the car. Those are some really greatly choreographed death scenes. It really shines in that aspect.
I really like those. Those are good. Rain, what about you?
I think they did a really good job picking the characters that you were able to play and then building a relationship with those characters. I feel like sometimes with these games, when you have a game that's just so big and so many characters and vast options of going back and forth between different personalities, sometimes you kind of lose that relationship. But I think they did a pretty good job keeping that relationship because I enjoyed watching Laura and making decisions with Laura and doing stuff with Ryan. I felt like it was good that they were consistent with keeping with those characters. I like the characters personally. Sometimes Ryan was a little bland for me, but at the end of the day, I was like, okay, I actually like this kid more. More and more as you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a whole, I thought that these set of characters were actually better than the Until Dawn characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like them more. It might just be because they were all sort of generally funnier. And they were, had a slightly darker sense of humor, which is, definitely kind of what I enjoy a bit more.
Yeah.
So, I resonated more with these characters. I agree. I like them. I guess. So, I have one more thing to gripe about before I get to what I liked, because I forgot about this. I just didn't like how little environment and locations there were in this one. It felt like a lot of it was centralized to 3 main areas. It was 2 larger areas at the campground, the main house thing, and then the docks / the fire pit area, or a forest. And then you had the family house. I don't remember what their name. The Hackett house.
Yeah.
And then, and the junkyard that goes with the Hackett house, and that was basically it. Until Dawn had so many more different areas. They had the main house, they had the side cabin, they had the mines, they had the sanatorium, and a lot of those places had things within that location to kind of go around. The mines had the Wendigo lair and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And so I just thought there was a lot more to explore and a lot more depth to all the locations. And it was also more spread out, too. There were more locations, and it took place on a larger scaled map. And so I just thought that was more exciting to explore. It's a small one, but I think it's relevant. I think they did a good job in the first game, and maybe let it slip a little bit for that.
Yeah, I think there could have been more pursuit, because there were a lot of werewolves out and about, and they really only attacked once or twice. And the way they go ham on people when they do finally catch someone, I would think they'd be a bit more active pursuers of literally anything that might be moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, they should be more like predators, right? If they're so hungry and feral and dangerous, they should be pursuing it more.
I will lie right here until something walks into my mouth, and then I'll just fucking rip it apart. Yeah.
To get on to what I enjoyed, it's sort of kind of what Rainey mentioned a bit. I really liked, and it's going to come to shock to nobody that's listened, but I really liked the cast, which is kind of relating towards the characters, but I thought the cast was just overall better for the most part in this one. So we had Chris, who is played by David Arquette, Chris Hackett. He's from the Scream franchise. Travis is played by Ted Raimi, who is from Evil Dead and Spider-Man.
Travis was cool.
Travis was a really good character. I liked him a lot. Abigail, who is played by Ariel Winter, who's from Modern Family. She's the middle daughter. I also really liked Abigail. We had Bobby, who I didn't actually know this, but is Ethan Suplee, who's in Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
Constance is played by Lynn Shay. A lot of people, I think, knew this one. She's from the Insidious franchise. She's one of the old ladies in the Insidious franchise. And she's also in The Grudge. Another good one, Ryan, who I also really enjoyed towards the end of it. Is Justice Smith, who was in Detective Pikachu. He was the kid in Detective Pikachu.
Oh, yeah!
And he was also one of the, interns in Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and he was really funny in that. And so I won't go over everybody,
and London Tipton, of course.
Yeah, we had Caitlin, who's played by Brenda Song, who's in... I like that the credits aren't even listed as either of the two that we've been referencing. Dollface and The Social Network, but she's also London Tipton from Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, and she's Wendy Wu.
Homecoming Warrior!
Yep.
The one and only.
Only one I recognized.
Oh, really? I knew a lot of them. We had Jacob, who was played by Zach Tinker, who was in 13 Reasons Why.
Ah.
Jedediah, who we didn't see much of, but he was the dad of the Hackett family. and Lance Henriksen, who is in Aliens and The Terminator. Halston Sage was from Dark Phoenix. She played Emma. Oh, that's the social media lady that we talked about. We couldn't think of her name, Emma. And so there was, there's more to go on, but that gives you a good idea. There's a lot of like really talented actors and actresses, and just throughout the whole cast. And I always really enjoy looking at those. I think it's really fun to see the different range people has, because if you're only familiar with someone like Brenda Song from Disney Channel movies and stuff like that, you get to see her range in this, and I thought it was really fun.
It was indeed.
And other things too, like if you've only seen Lin Shaye from Insidious, this is not that different. It's still a supernatural sort of story, and so it was cool to see her in this again, or in this style of thing, until she gets her brains blown out. But so that was kind of my favorite thing. Among what you both talked about, I agree with what you all said.
Final ratings?
So, I was just going to ask, I guess I'll go first. So, I'm rating it twice, actually. As an individual game, I give it a 8 out of 10. When I compare it to Until Dawn, it is a 5 out of 10. And I think that if you play the Quarry and have not played Until Dawn, then I think it's going to be a really great game. You're going to really enjoy it. But if you've played Until Dawn and hoping that this is a comparable sequel, I think you're going to be a little disappointed. Not that it's not a good game, but I just didn't enjoy it nearly as much.
Fair enough.
So those are my ratings. Yep. What do you got?
I got Rainy, you go.
I'm going to rate this one a 7. And it's mostly being held up by its graphics and animation and characters.
Absolutely.
More than the story and gameplay. But yeah, but that doesn't mean it's not a bad game. It's still a great game, and in comparison beats many other games.
Still recommend it, playing even like with my 5 rating. I'm still happy I enjoyed it. Again, liked it, probably like would play it on my own if I didn't already watch a playthrough of it. Very good game, very, very pretty. Characters are excellent, so yeah, definitely recommend still. Wolf, what do you got?
I give it a solid 6.5 out of 10.
Ooh.
Yeah. Of course, very beautiful. Characters, very well written. It was funny. The simple son, Bobby, he had some really good scenes.
You stabbed me.
There's one where like, yeah, or he'll like stab Ryan and he'll go, "You took my knife, thief."
That was really good.
But for a game about making decisions, you don't make a lot of like meaningful decisions, and that bothers me. And of course, everything else I griped about with the story, not quite connecting in all the places. Yeah.
Yeah, I could go anywhere from like a 7 to a 5. I think a lot of, ratings are justifiable. There's a lot of things that are great about it that we've already mentioned. There's a lot of things that are less than ideal about it that we've mentioned, and definitely recommend just playing it for yourself or just watching it play through and forming your own opinion, because I could easily see a lot of players that even have played Until Dawn that like this more, because it is a bit of an easier game than Until Dawn. Like, it's less punishing, less consequences sort of thing. And if that's what you wanted out of Until Dawn, then you'll enjoy this more. So that is The Quarry.
Woo!
We liked it. Let's move right along to Rain's question of the week.
Let's go!
Rain, what do you have for us?
All right, so this week's question of the week, I had the game The Quarry in mind for this question. So the question is, do you think you could survive being lost or abandoned in the woods? And what would your most used tool of choice be for survival?
Okay, I have several questions for me in the audience before we get into this.
Yeah.
Am I just like dropped in the woods in anywhere in the world?
Are they
like,
werewolf
or is it?
woods?
No, I don't give a fuck about that. Do I know these woods, or is it just like, do I not know where I am abandoned?
In my head, I imagine you don't know where you are. It's just a generic wood scenario, and your main point is just survival.
Okay, and then the other question is, you asked about most tool of choice. Am I bringing shit? Do I have shit on me? Am I like a hiker? Well, I guess I wouldn't be a hiker because then I would know what woods I'm in.
Yeah.
So yeah, do I have tools, or is it like something I have to find or make?
In this situation, it's what tool you like choose to bring with you if you are to be abandoned.
I see.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a desert island thing.
Kinda, yeah.
Okay, I got you now. So I'll go first. Wolf, I'll let you think on it. I am going to bring serrated hunting knife because that pretty much solves most of my problems. Like, I won't be able to, chop a tree down, or not like a big tree, but I could easily get wood. I can take bark off of trees to use for partial shelter. You can like shave bark off really big trees. I can, shave moss off of old logs, use that. I can, use it to like skin animals. It's a really just like a versatile tool. It's also not only just a tool, but it's also a weapon for defense. And it being like a serrated knife is definitely going to cause some harm on whatever attacks me. I probably wouldn't survive a bear, but no matter what tool I have, I'm probably not surviving a bear unless it's like a gun.
Yeah.
But I don't really want a gun for similar reasons that we talked about in our zombie apocalypse question, where that's eventually going to run out of ammo. So I'm not going to have to deal with that. So I'm picking a hunting knife.
Nice.
For me, my tool of choice would probably be like one of those water-resistant, heat-retaining tarps.
Ooh.
You do get cold pretty easily.
I was just going to say, overall, I run cold. So before I can even worry about gathering food or fire, I die of hypothermia. Or even worse. I'm so cold.
It'd be like Venice Beach all over again.
Yeah, I'm so cold that I can't get any rest, so then I'm exhausted, and then one of my, like, exhaustion-driven mistakes will get me killed. Like, not tripping off a cliff or some bullshit. I actually took, like, an outdoor survival class, and while a knife would be quite useful, I think I could get by without one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm quite disgusted by nature, but I could survive it.
Wolf's just using
I definitely think most people could probably survive without a knife. It's just like, I definitely don't need that like heat retaining tarp. I just like dig a hole in the ground or something.
A hole.
Yeah, they're fine. I know how to like light fires and shit, all that. So I was like, I'll take a knife. It'd be listen, if we're banded together, we're quite the pair.
That's true. You got the I got the tarp. You got the knife.
Yep.
Yeah. Rain, what are you choosing? What's your tool?
I would go with like a nice.
Besides your husband.
Oh! To be fair though, if I did just bring Ryan with me, I would be totally living in luxury in the woods. He'd take care of everything.
Oh, maybe,
real Tarzan and Jane.
Maybe that's my tool. Maybe I'll bring your husband.
My baby daddy. I would probably bring.
Right, so what do you?
a heavy duty like hatchet, because I feel like I'm a pretty tiny person, so I feel like my biggest thing is gonna be anything that's strength dependent. So I would need something that already is pretty heavy duty that could do that strength stuff for me, like chopping wood and collecting wood and stuff like that. I can't do that with like a little knife. I'm gonna need something with a little more girth. So I would go with like a nice hatchet, and I feel like that's pretty useful too. Same thing with like what you said about the knife.
Like
There's just a lot of uses you could use it for it.
Yeah, a book. What do you need a book for?
No, I don't like the book. The book hatchet.
Oh, I see.
Freaks.
I got you. No, yeah, I mean, a hatchet definitely useful. A big hatchet or a small hand axe and whatnot, definitely useful. Pretty similar to a knife. So yeah, all good choices. What would be the worst tool you could bring?
A book.
Nonsense. A book make fire.
Oh my gosh.
Paper airplanes for communication. But probably a map.
Why a map?
Because I don't know how to read a map.
Oh my god.
Well, and also,
survival
if you're
class.
dropped, like, in the middle of the wood, what's a map gonna do? You don't know where the fuck you're starting.
Find
all
a
Well,
river.
you know-
You find water.
You find a river,
So
or you
So
know.
then what do you need the map for? You found the river. Follow it.
What if you
Well, the
don't know
river
what
tells. Well, the map tells you where the river is.
How would you know where the river is relative to where you currently are standing?
Because, well, you can tell direction based on the sun.
Then what do you need the map for?
Because to find the
Still not the
river.
map. Oh my gosh.
Sounded more and more
Uh,
useless.
Okay, I have something even worse.
Yeah.
That's tangential. I would bring in one of those collections of like the Encyclopedia of the World, like
Oh
the
my God.
26 volume encyclopedias. I would bring those. That's my worst tool.
Okay, but that's a
What
lot of
did you
paper.
do?
No, I need them. I need them to read about rivers and sun locations.
Oh my
Learn all your
God.
hunting skills.
Yeah.
And I need all 26 volumes. I need them all.
Then you can build a little hut, a little chair.
Look at
No,
that.
then you damage the
Look
books.
at that.
Nah, you can sit on a book.
No, I would build a shelf for my books.
A shelf!
Yeah, and then I would have the little the box from that mid anime that I keep hating on.
Oh, like Nezuko's box.
Yeah, Nezuko's box. I would have that, but for my books.
Oh my god.
From Demon Slayer. I would have Demon Slayer. I'd have Nezuko's box,
Amazing.
but for my books. Rain, what's the worst thing you could think of?
Probably like a camping chair.
But the comfort.
I know, but
doubles as a weapon.
swinging the fucking chair.
Swing it. Oh, you could bring the rotor arm from the
that's
engine
right, that's
that they
right.
took out.
Exactly.
The one
Yeah.
that he. But okay, I know we finished that, but did you realize he can die there? If he dives, what's his dumbass name? Jacob. He loses the rotor arm in the lake, right?
Yeah.
If you go down and pick up the rotor arm, he can just drown.
Really?
Yeah, that's one of his death options. He can literally just drown trying to
God.
get it.
Amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
If you don't go and like say fuck it and like ignore the rotor arm, and you go down and pick it up, try to swim to the bottom of the lake, he just drowns.
That feels like an unfair decision too.
Yeah.
It's the worst death option
I feel like you
available.
should have make the call to come up, and then if you don't make the right call, then you drown. Not let's
Is he
go
not
for it.
realizing he's gonna run out of air?
Yeah.
Is he that much of a dumbass?
That's funny
Like-
because Jack is like going through the logic, like, oh, it's probably easier to just put the rotor arm back, and at the
Yeah.
end of the day, it was better to just cut the gas line.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. But when the two knuckleheads go into the junkyard to find and actively running, like a running engine and all that bullshit, to find a new rotor arm, they don't even check the car for a
don't. They
rotor
leave.
arm. Like, what was
don't.
the
They
point?
literally just
They
leave.
just leave.
Fuck it.
They killed one of them and they just leave. Wait, did that one die?
They
The
can
one that
both
crushed
live.
the car?
Yeah, and they didn't even check who it
not
was.
not the two idiots. Right, they didn't check who it was,
Mm-hmm.
right? That one died, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And
I
they
guess
didn't
that
check
was
who it
just
was,
some
and they didn't check for the
schmuck.
rotor arm. They're just like, oh, I guess we don't need to be here anymore.
Yep. They just
That was
leave.
scary.
They're
Guess
like,
I'm
you know
going
what?
back.
Yeah.
You know, let's go back
I-
to the lodge.
I will say, it was pretty predictable, but I did like that scene.
It was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like how the monster comes in with the light. I know we were about to wrap up, but the werewolf comes in with the motion sensor lights. It was very obvious that was going to happen, at least for me. But I really liked it. I thought it was like really cinematically cool.
Yeah.
So definitely like that. That was a good one. And what's his name? The idiot learning how to use a crane for the first time.
Literally.
Yeah.
I love the
Like
crane
that.
that automatically plays music when you turn it on.
Oh yeah, just heavy metal music. Yeah, very good. Anyways, I think that'll about wrap up this episode of You're Ridiculous. Wolf, why don't you take it away?
Alrighty, I'm Wolf taking things away. Thank you for watching episode 34 of You're Ridiculous. We hope you enjoyed that episode, and if you did, be sure to hit the like button and slap the subscribe and hit the plus on all those social medias. You can follow us all across the internet at the main cast at ridiculous_cast on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow Lucas at 7 Angry Wasps with an E. You can follow me
That's
at
right.
Rainbow Does with 1W on Twitter and Instagram. We hope to see you all again next week. Tell your friends. Goodbye!
Bye-bye!
Bye-bye!